If you're moving to the Tampa Bay area, there is one expense that surprises almost every buyer, and that is home insurance. Florida is notorious for having very expensive home insurance, and it's especially an issue here in Tampa Bay because we are so close to the water. There are definitely things that you can look out for to avoid some of those higher and unexpected insurance costs, and we're going to get into that in this video. Hi, my name is Celia. I am a Tampa Bay realtor and I post content every week about buying in Tampa, what it's actually like to live in the area, and things that you should look out for. So, if you're interested in that kind of content, then like this video and subscribe to my channel. Let's get into it. So, why is home insurance such a big deal here? Because Florida is a hurricane prone state, insurance companies are taking out a lot more risk when it comes to insuring homes in this area. They're thinking about a lot more damages that can occur. And so, finding coverage can be more expensive and more complex. And this is something that trips people up often in the home buying process if they're a first time buyer or if they're buying from out of state in places where you don't necessarily have to worry about natural disasters as much. So let's talk real home insurance numbers, what you can probably expect to pay if you're buying a home in the Tampa Bay area. Typically, home insurance is costing homeowners here anywhere from about $2,500 to $6,000 a year. Now, that all depends on things like the age of the roof. That's a big one. The age of the home overall, if it has any wind mitigation features, and also if it is in a flood zone or not. These factors can significantly impact the price of home insurance for the home that you're looking to buy. So, these are things that you need to be looking out for early. And a caveat here is that two homes can be the exact same price. However, you can be paying way different amounts for the actual home insurance, which can honestly offset your budget and make the home that you actually want less affordable. So, it's better to know these things before you start the search so that you don't fall in love with a home that has unaffordable home insurance. One of the biggest surprises for home buyers here is dealing with homes that are either in a flood zone or not in a flood zone. And so, this is something that is an additional cost to the homeowner's insurance policy that you're already going to have to pay for. That's a part of your monthly mortgage. And so, to look for a home where you would not have to pay monthly flood insurance, you would want to look in Flood Zone X or Flood Zone X500. These are both considered low risk flood zones, and majority of lenders will not require that you have your own flood insurance. Now, once you get into flood zones such as AE, and you can find these in areas that are closer to the water, so it's kind of a trade off. If you want to be closer to the water, you are a little bit more likely to find and buy a home that is in a flood zone. Now, sometimes these homes are priced correctly so that it kind of offsets the fact that you have to pay for flood insurance every month, but this can cost you anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 every year, and sometimes even more, especially if you are living in a coastal property. Then the risk is much higher, therefore the insurance premium is going to be much higher as well. But looking in Flood Zone X and making sure that you won't have to pay that monthly cost can save you a lot of money up front. And again, knowing this before you start your search prevents you from falling in love with a home that is in a flood zone. Now, there are plenty of people that choose to live in flood zones here. Maybe you've always wanted to live by the water. Maybe you just fell in love with a home that's in a flood zone. It's not unattainable. $1,000 to $3,000 a year is not going to make or break the bank for some people, but you also have to think about the risk that you're taking, meaning that if we have a bad hurricane season, if we have really heavy rains, then your home could flood. And so it's not only the added expense, but it's also the risk you're taking of the damage that can be done to your home in the future. Another factor that greatly impacts the price of insurance here in Florida is the age of the roof. So, most companies will not even insure homes if the roof is older than about 15 to 20 years. And it varies depending on how old the rest of the home is as well. And there are a few other factors that go into this. But when you're on the home buying search and you're shopping for homes, it's really important to be asking and looking up how old the roof is, when is the last time that it got replaced, just to make sure that you're not going to have to be taking on that expense within the first 1 to 5 years of buying that home. Let's be honest, buying a home is expensive. You've got the down payment, sometimes closing costs if you're not able to negotiate those down. And so you don't necessarily want to have that added expense within the first couple years of purchasing your home. It's way more fun to spend your money on things like renovations and decorating, and you don't want to run into that. And if you do run into that, it can also slow down the home buying process if there are problems with underwriting and getting homeowners insurance because of an older roof. Now, to kind of wrap this up, being mindful of how much your home insurance is going to cost, looking out for those factors I talked about that are going to affect the price of your home insurance is really important because it can throw off your entire budget. Maybe your budget is $500,000 and you absolutely fall in love with a home that's $499,900, but then you find out that your home insurance costs are going to be through the roof and suddenly that home becomes unaffordable. You don't want that to happen. You want to be spending your money on the home that you love, not paying crazy insurance costs. So just be mindful of these things when you're looking in the Tampa Bay area. Couple of recommendations that I would make for you during your home search is to always check the flood zone and also double check it on FEMA's website. You want to make sure that is listed correctly on the actual listing that you're looking, but also on the government records as well. Check the age of the roof and get an insurance quote before you buy. You want to have a good idea of what you're actually going to be spending. There's lots of local insurance companies that would be happy to work with you and your realtor when you are assessing if you can afford a home and what that affordability looks like factored in that home insurance cost. If you're planning a move or buying a home in the Tampa Bay area and all of this sounds really confusing, I would be happy to be your guide and help consult with you on the home buying process to make sure that we can find you a great property that is not going to cost you an arm and a leg in home insurance every month. The best way to get in contact and start working with me is by texting Tampa to 612-963-8420.